on this particular presentation. I'm going to tell you a lot about the ways to give back to the WordPress project as a whole, but as we do it, interestingly enough, you'll be able to find out all of the places where you can learn more about WordPress, most of which will be some way that you learn best. We have a lot of audio-visual things, we have a lot of reading things, we have a lot of person-to-person things, and so you'll be able to figure out not only how to give back to those projects, but then also where they live so that you can learn more as you go. So, in case you did not know, you are in the session called Contributing to WordPress without code. If you are in the wrong place, now is the time to deplane, but until then, you're stuck with me. Hang on. I use my hands too much. I do have to put this in the bubble. There we go. Okay. Cool. All right. So a little bit about me. I'm a digital literacy advocate, a community builder, and WordPress enthusiast. People find it funny that I have that as my third thing, but I'm most enthusiastic about those first two. WordPress is really, really awesome, and I'm enthusiastic about that as well. And then I work at Automatic. And if you don't know about Automatic, it's a little company that runs WordPress.com, but we're not talking about WordPress.com today, so don't worry about it. What we are talking about today is, as I mentioned, ways to give back to the WordPress open source project. So, how many of you already know what open source is? Good, about 50%. How many of you have inherited a WordPress site, and so you're like, open source is okay, but sure. We have a few inherited people, and how many of you are like, we're using WordPress because it's great, and open source is going to change the world? All right, a few. And everybody else is like, I'm using WordPress because it's amazingly simple to use as far as CMSs go. Is that right? Some nods. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're going to talk a little bit about open source in general. It's a very short slide. It is kind of a scenic slide, by which I mean there are a lot of words. And so when we get to the end, you might want to take a picture just so you can see it. But you don't have to if you don't want to. The first thing that's important about open source, most of the time people assume that it's about software. And in this case, WordPress as a software is absolutely considered open source. It is publicly accessible design, essentially. That is really oversimplifying the concept of open source, but in this particular case, with what we're going to talk about today, it's extremely important. The next thing that we need to know is that it's publicly accessible so that we can study, change, and improve on what is in there. This, when it relates to software, makes a whole lot of sense. You've got the code available, you can look at it, see what could be better if you changed a couple of things, and then change those and give it back to everybody else so everybody else's stuff works better right along with yours. But for what we're talking about today, the without code part, we the people who do stuff at WordCamps like this, we try to be as open as possible and as transparent as possible when we are doing all of our organizing and everything along with our speaker wrangling and sponsor wrangling, so that if you, how many are local to Omaha? All right, I'm not interested. How many of you are not local to Omaha? Yeah, so if anyone who's not in Omaha looks at this and they're like, man, you know what I want in my city, a WordCamp? You can take this home. You can take all this information home and learn how to do this yourself in your own home city, town, village, wherever you are. So the ability to study, change, and improve, which in itself fosters kind of a sense of collaboration, which is what we go for in the WordPress open source community. Free as in speech. This is an important part, an important misconception about open source in general. A lot of people, when they hear about open source, think to themselves, it's free, as in has no cost, as in and unlimited beers, or whatever. But in this particular case, and in all cases with open source, especially WordPress, it is about free as in speech. It gives you the ability to control what is happening and to share your voice and give voices to people who otherwise would not have voices. Are there any folks who are bloggers? Primarily, okay. I know that I started doing this when I was a blogger. I see that hand. When I started working with WordPress, I was a blogger. I don't blog hardly at all anymore. Don't tell my mom. She's in the audience. That's why I feel like I need to say that. And I felt like I had a space where I could share the things that were important to me. I still have a blog. I still do share things about like the importance of organization, the importance of open source, working together. And that, I feel, is not something anyone would listen to me about necessarily unless I had a blog to share all of that information on. And so free as in speech is an important part of the open source culture. You can charge for open source items. You can charge for the service that goes along with them. That is not the variety of free that we're talking about. And it's more than software. So I talked about this a little bit. This is my final bullet point. If you want to take a picture, you can do it now while I'm gesturing madly. No, so it's more than software. I think a really important part about what we do with WordPress is we bring this open source idea, this collaborative idea, to people and to interpersonal connections in a way that a lot of open source doesn't apply in your minds. If you think open source is primarily about software and primarily about the tools, then it does not make any sense for us to be like, we're WordPress and we're an open source community. For anyone who has heard my WordPress origin story, you know that I was introduced to WordPress through the community. Like, I didn't know what WordPress was when I went to my first WordCamp, and they loved me anyway, and they accepted me anyway, and here I am. And this is what I do for a living, is wander around talking about the importance of building this kind of network that we have here. And so it's about fostering a feeling of collaboration, and it's about kind of being willing to share in what you're learning and knowing that knowledge is like a light, and the more that you share it, the more light you have. I was saying to somebody last night, WordPress is not like a piece of bread where if you share it out, you have less and less and less. WordPress is like a candle where if you share it out, you have more and more and more, just like knowledge. And I feel like that's really important. It does have two important caveats, which we're going to talk about here in just a second, which is that one, when you do everything in this collaborative, extremely transparent way that we do, you have to embrace failure and learning from failure rather than panicking about failure. On my team, we work with WordCamps the world over, and we make mistakes, and that's just what you do. You make a mistake and you say, that was not right. Sorry, everybody, how can we do it better? People help you figure out how to do it better because you did it in a collaborative and transparent way, and then you never make that mistake again. That's not true either. We probably do. But collaborating openly and transparently means that you have to embrace error and let everybody else also embrace that error and learning from the mistakes that you made. But the other really important part is that you have to be active. There's a common saying in the WordPress community, which is that WordPress is built by the people who show up. So there are, across the world, about 100,000 members of the WordPress community, people who come to learn about WordPress and who use WordPress and make other people's lives better with this tool. But when you go to contributor days, which we will have one tomorrow, I believe, you'll see that we have a much smaller percentage of those people. And those are the people who can really, really make a difference. And we're going to talk about that in just a bit. Next question, because I'm going to ask you all so many questions. Has anyone heard of this? 5 for the Future? We've got 1 hand, 2 hands. You all don't count. They are primarily my coworkers raising their hands here. So 5 for the Future is a concept that was first mentioned in October of 2014. So it's not too old, but also not too new. And it was mentioned at WordCamp San Francisco by Matt Mullenweg. Does everybody know who this is? It's okay if you don't. I saw some shaking heads. I won't call you out. This is the co-creator of WordPress, the tool that we know. He runs Automatic, and he, in his keynote in October 2014, said what we need to do in order to make sure that WordPress is relevant for the future is anyone who benefits from WordPress should give back 5% to make sure that not only the community is still alive and well, but that the tool remains alive, well, relevant, and active for all of time. WordPress is, as far as all of what you all are participating in right now goes, considered a contribution culture, or a gift culture, depending on how you want to look at it. What that means mostly is that people give of their time, or their intelligence, or their code, or, as you all are, your attention, without a specific idea that there's going to be any sort of reciprocal benefit, although there obviously is. You get to meet people who are doing what you're doing so that you feel less alone in that kind of, they said it was a 5-minute install and I don't know how to do this WordPress thing, you know? And as a side note, we had a few I inherited this and I don't know what I'm doing people, is that right? Everybody will tell you that WordPress is the easiest CMS out there. CMS stands for Content Management System. For one, it is true. And for two, it is relative. It is not actually very, very easy to get started with. So if you feel like you've just gotten started and you don't get it, do not worry. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It means that a CMS is hard. WordPress is just the easiest of the hard things. So, all of that being said, it's a contribution culture, so really what you put into it is what you get out of it. And the next thing that everybody says to me is, what, like with code, core contributions? Because when you listen to people talk about giving back to WordPress, most of the time what you think is by submitting plugins to the repository, or by reviewing themes, or building code in core, being part of those quarterly releases that we have. And it just makes me so sad deep down inside, because people like you are actually just as important for giving back to this culture, because you are connecting with each other, you are learning more about your own local community, and you are sharing the knowledge that was so hard-earned for you with people who also are trying to win that same hard-earned knowledge. And so today, what I'm going to talk about is kind of a double handful of ways that you can give back to this project without knowing any code. Without knowing much code at all. There will be some cases where you do have to know a bit of code, but for the most part, what I will be talking to you about are the ways that you can give back with your time, with your energy, with your writing skills. We had a lot of people raise their hands for being bloggers, and we need all of you, all the way across this. So, first off, because, as I mentioned, I'm going to ask you all lots of questions as we go along. How many of you have given back to this community in some way that you are aware of? That's good. We've got a handful of people. Cool. How many have given back on a technological side, with code or code review or something? All right. Yeah. Okay. And how many of you have given back in a non-technological way, either with your time or energy? Paying attention, people. Cool. Good deal. All right. Next question that I have, because this only sort of works in parts of the world. Does everybody know what a potluck is? Okay, good. There are times when I go out and I'm like, this is the WordPress potluck, and then people are like, we don't know what that is. So I don't have to explain that part to you, that's fortunate. All right, so first, any questions on open source in my extremely abbreviated ways we did? Good. You are always welcome to interrupt me to ask questions. If you're like me, you will completely forget your question by the end. And I will probably be able to get back to my train of thought if you have them. So bravely raise your hand if we have any questions as we go along. So I'm going to break my groups down here into 3 sections. The first one that I have is notation and annotation. And as I mentioned, if you're still learning, a lot of these will be places that you can go to learn more as you get kind of your mind around what we're working with here. The first one that we have, I should tell everybody first. The site that we're talking about primarily is make.wordpress.org. It will be written down on the slide a bit later, but just so you know, this is our area today, make.wordpress.org. With the exception of this one, which is on wordpress.tv. So how many of you are YouTube folks, either because you create content or consume content there? Yeah? Just video content in general also, if there are people who don't like YouTube for whatever reason. Okay, so WordPress.tv is where all sessions from every WordCamp across the world get uploaded. If you have ever missed a session at any WordCamp ever, which if you haven't been to every single one, then you have, all of it is available here. It's primarily people like me wandering the world, giving presentations about this, but we also have people who contribute not only by building that variety of content, but by doing the captions afterward. So if you are the type of person who is kind of an auditory learner, or if you are a visual learner, WordPress.tv is a great place to get started. There are a lot of one-on-one videos that are available, and a lot of fairly technical videos that are available. And I know that for myself, when I caption videos, I have to watch it and sort of transcribe it as I go, and then watch it and get the times sorted out for myself as I go, and then watch it and add all the information in. And so you basically are going to have to watch it 3 times, and I have learned so much by watching videos on WPTV, because you have to watch it 3 times in order to make it happen. Do we have any people in here who speak more than one language? Okay. You can also caption in any language. We would like to have captioning in all of the languages for our users that are represented. So if you know anyone who loves captioning, and who knows if you've never tried it, they can go in here and caption in English and every other language that you can write on the internet. This one is for our support forums. So who has gone to any one of the support forums just because, dang, how else are we going to learn? Yeah? How many people have answered questions in there? A few, yeah. So at Contributor Days, there is like a Contributor Day module that we call 20 questions, where we get you all set up on support forums, and you can go in and answer 20 questions, and then you get this cute little badge on your WordPress.org profile. Is everybody aware of where the WordPress.org profile is? It's profiles.wordpress.org/your-username. And you'll be able to see all of the teams that you have contributed anything to over the years. It's kind of cool. Also, all of the comments you've ever made on any WordPress site that's inside the network, which is most of them. So that's pretty neat. But the awesome thing about our support forums is that they are almost entirely volunteer-driven, because that's all of WordPress anyway. Almost entirely volunteer-driven. There is a question on there for everybody who has an answer. And there's an answer on there for anybody who has a question. Because it's just an open forum where anyone can ask a thing and someone can come and help them. We used to do this, I'm from Kansas City, and we used to do this thing called the Help Me Help You board, where you could say what you needed help with and people could put down what they could help with. That's exactly what this is, except that you don't have to be in the same physical space with them. That is findable at support.wordpress.org. or wordpress.org/support. Huh? They redirect you. Perfect. Either one of those. Easy to find. The other thing that you can do we have anyone who loves to write technical documentation? Just me? A couple people? Everyone's like, love it. No. I mean, I'm good at it, but I don't love it. That's fair. So we have an entire team that provides documentation for the WordPress tool. They don't provide it for the community. Communities each have their own handbooks that they have on the site. But we have a documentation team, and they meet in Slack once a week to kind of discuss the things that need to be updated for the newest releases and things that need to be added in the future. Another quick show of hands. How many of you are in the Making WordPress Slack instance? Okay. In the event you would like to, you can go to chat.wordpress.org and receive an invitation. And what it is people who do things like this, build the documentation, work in the support forums, organize WordCamps. Everybody's in there, hanging around, having all the information that they could possibly want. So, documentation. This is where most people start as they're trying to figure out what WordPress is and how to use WordPress. And so, documenting better and documenting faster is incredibly important for any community, especially for the WordPress community. All right, so the next one that we have in our open source potluck is People Helping People. I think this is the title of a song, or it is in my mind. And if it's not, I'm going to make it. Don't worry. So this is a lot of in-person stuff, and this is the stuff that you're doing today. If you've ever been a speaker at a WordCamp, hands up. Yeah? Or speaker at a meetup, WordPress meetup? All right, there you go. Okay. So anyone who has been a speaker and attaches their profile information to that speaker post will get one of these badges on their profiles as well. And it's just this. It's standing up and talking to people about WordPress or about entrepreneurship around being a WordPress user or anything like that. And the next one is this one. This is our community badge. And anyone who has attended a WordCamp. Hey, who's attended a WordCamp? I see some hands not up. You did. You're here today. It's okay. So anyone who has attended a WordCamp, anyone who has organized a WordCamp, anyone who attends or organizes meetups, you are part of this community. This is our largest community, I believe next to our polyglots, which will come up in a bit, as far as the WordPress open source project goes. We have like 12 different teams that you can work on. So no matter what it is that you feel you're best at, there will be something for you here. And then this final one, and this is one of my favorites. I work with this team, this is the training team, and they build curriculum for people to take all of the things that you need to know about WordPress and go teach other people. And that's it, that's what we do. We also build like specific workshops, we do a lot of diversity outreach stuff, make sure that we get the pipeline problem solved, as people like to say in technology. But we build the curriculum, we send it out to people who need to know how to teach people WordPress but don't necessarily want to build their own curriculum, because that is time consuming. But if you want to either teach WordPress, you can go to make.wordpress.org/training. I almost said teaching, /training. And all of our curriculum live there. And you can also learn how to edit, test, provide your own curriculum, all of those things. Before we get on to my final set, are there any other questions on those things? Yes? No, that was just a yes, go ahead, yeah. All right, so our final section is all around slightly specialized things. So in these sections, you don't have to have the specialty of code, but you do have to have the specialty of, in some cases, language. And so, first off, we have accessibility. So how many of you are familiar with accessibility standards for the internet, roughly? ADA compliance, things like that. This team focuses entirely on that. So if you are concerned about readability of the internet and the general ability to use the internet regardless of what your personal abilities are, color blindness, not being able to use a mouse, all of those things, this is the team to be part of. It's a very small team, but they are so important. WordPress is, you may know, it powers like 26% of the internet, and on the 27% of the internet. And on the one hand, you're like, gosh, that's so much of the internet. But then when you think about it, you're like, no, that's 1 in every 4 people that I talk to. That's very normal people. That's people like me, who I can't code anything. That's not true. I can code some things, but nothing that anyone will pay me for. I can code very silly calculators. This team functions for people like us that are just like trying to make a living with WordPress, but darn it if I'm not colorblind or whatever, and making that easier. Making sure that everything is readable with readers, and keyboard shortcuts all the way down. We had one person raise their hand to say that they were a polyglot, a multilingual user. We, every single time we have a release, try to have it translated into as many languages as we can. We have now small communities in 71 different countries across the world. And so 71 at least languages that we try to get this translated into every single time we have a release, which is 4 times a year. And so if you or anyone that you know is great at translating, we so much need help here in the Polyglots team. There is a Global Translation Day coming up on November 12th, next Saturday. And so there are a series of sessions, including panels about why it's important, panels about global language choices, things like that. Even if you cannot translate anything, it might be interesting to go to just to understand the global network that you are now a part of. You're welcome. And then the final one. This is the meta team. These folks wrangle everything on the WordPress.org page itself, as well as create some tools to make our lives simpler, including better WordCamp sites, better WordCamp tools, and just generally making sure that stuff is functioning so that we can get our jobs done. If you are interested in infrastructure, this is your space. And then, of course, the 3 that everybody thinks of. So I said that there was only one more section, but this is actually the final section. Themes, plugins, and code. The reason that I bring these up is because, for one, there are people who don't know that these are ways to give back, even though they are like the primary 3 that everybody thinks of, but also because this is the part that makes it all sound like a potluck. Yes, the code is really important. Being part of the core team is extremely important for having a tool. Frankly, if you don't have a group of people building WordPress as a tool, then you don't need everybody else in there because there's nothing else to work with. But just like at a potluck, like if these are our main dishes, right? I don't know about you all, but when I go to a potluck that's like just meat, it's all barbecue, I'm like, well, man, it would be nice to have a salad or a shortcake or something. And so these are the things that like make stuff run. But honestly, WordPress has the largest community, the largest open source community around it because we also have all of those other ways to give back. There's something for everyone in it. And I feel like that's a really important sort of thing that we have to remind ourselves of. Core is important, the code is important, but being here and making sure that you take all this information out to the other people that either need to know WordPress or who will eventually be using the sites that you're building, extremely important as well. Everything that I have talked about today is on this site, make.wordpress.org. Is me?
So it's easy to see you could just go there and answer questions. But suppose that you wanted to be part of the training team or the accessibility team. I don't see how just going to it would allow you to participate. What do you actually have to do?
It's a very good question. So the question was, there are a few things that clearly you go to the thing and then you can participate in. But what about the teams where it's not clear what to do next once you've gotten there? Like the training team. So there are weekly meetings for every single team. For one. And at most WordCamps, we also have contributor days where you have team reps or team participants who come and help to basically onboard new contributors. Every single team out there has tasks for brand new contributors. It does not matter what the team is. And people who can help you figure out where those are. To be fair, having to find the right person to figure out where those things are is not the best way for us to get people into the program, but we're working on that. We've been working on a lot of documentation across all the teams. We've been working on trying to get the information about how to get started a lot easier. But specifically for training, because you asked, you can come to the weekly meeting and say, hey, I am good at instructional design. What do you need me to do? And then we have a list of lessons, and you can say, I want to work on that lesson. I will probably have it done by this time, considering work. And then you just come and give us the thing when you're done. Same for docs. You go to the meeting and say, I'm here, I can write things. And then they say, great, go write that. And then you bring it back when you're done. So it's sort of individual contributions, but definitely there's still that kind of collective, like, help me, I don't know what I'm doing. An important note, just generally on that, now that we're here, any of these teams, it can feel really, really difficult to just like wander in as a brand new person and be like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to help, I think. And you should never feel uncomfortable doing that. The WordPress community is extremely open and extremely transparent as best we can. And I have never joined in a team where I just raised a hand and said, I don't know what I can do, but here are my skills, and if any of those are useful, let me know. Where they said, absolutely not, get out. We don't know, you go. Like, no one has ever said that. Even when they didn't know me, and I probably should have gone because I was not going to be useful in the long run, they still said, okay, well, can you do some of that editing over there? I'm like, why not? I'll give it a try. And again, like I said at the beginning, so important to embrace that concept of failure as a way to figure out how to do it better in the future, and not failure as a way to make fun of all of us for not knowing things well enough. So, does that answer the question? I got really down a little. Any other questions? With my intentionally left blank page? I don't stop blank. Yes?
With a lot of this being open source, are there also people you can find for, say, hire for particular situations?
Yes, and I always get this URL wrong, so I'm looking at you to correct me if I'm not right. Jobs.wordpress.net is a place, is basically an ongoing jobs board. And so that is a place where you can do that. It is not the case that when you're like working with these community things, you can go in and say, hey, training team, I'm looking to hire somebody to come here and teach my business how to do these things. Like, that's not what this is for. But there are definitely places where you can do that.
On another note, can you talk a little bit more about Automatic and how you guys contribute to WordPress and what your role in it is?
For sure. That question, I don't think I repeated the last one. Sorry, everybody. It was about how to find work and where job stuff goes. That one was tell a bit about Automatic and how we give back to the community. So we are working toward the 5 for the Future thing. We have 2 teams at Automatic specifically that have all of their time donated to the community. One is the team that I work with. We work on Wordcamps and Meetups and all of that kind of infrastructure that goes along with it, and making sure that our volunteer pipeline is clear and the path is nice to get started in. But then there's another team that works entirely on core. They commit code with all of their time. There are like 8 people on my team and 6 or 7 on their team. So that's how we give back to the community. Lots of time that we've donated. And I totally lucked out. Like this job fell in my lap one day. I was like 2014 and someone was like, do you want to do this for a living? I was like, who doesn't want to do this for a living? And then here I am. So yeah, there's that.
We also, as like part of our job, most people contribute in some other way. So like a lot of our support teams work in the support forums as part of our job, or speak at Wordcamps, or
That was a good point as well. There are also people who work at Automatic who just give of their time because they want to. They're not part of a team who's specifically donated to the project. They speak and they come and participate in WordCamps. They give code because they're really good at it, and that's just like a fun thing to do, an interesting little side project. So, yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
What's the word meetups?
What's the word meetups? Oh gosh, okay, so there are things called meetups. Meetup.com is actually a totally separate tool, but it's used to help people organize in-person meetings where people can talk about something that they have in common. Basically like a birds of a feather meeting, or just like common interest meeting. So we have 400-ish, 450 probably by the end of the year, of these like small local groups that just meet once a month to talk about WordPress and the things that go into having a business around WordPress and how to get started contributing, all these things. Yeah, all over the world.
How do you find them?
You can find them on meetup.com, or my preferred method is to just Google like Omaha WordPress Meetup, because most of them are named that way. And there is one in Omaha. You're in Springfield. There was one in Springfield. I don't know if it's still there, but if not, you should come find me afterward and I'll help you get set up. Yes?
WordPress helps folks who don't already have a meetup in their town get one going. That's part of your job, though. Can you tell people about that a little bit?
Yeah, so about the meetup program, we have a whole meetup program. And for folks who go out and try to find a meetup, a WordPress meetup in their city and they don't have one, my team at Automatic helps get that started. So for one, we can kind of help give you an idea of how the whole content structure works. And we also can help you find ways to get content if you don't know who your awesome WordPress folks locally are yet. But also, we do have a chapter program where we take on the dues. There are 5 good faith rules, which are basically the things that we talked about here, except a little bit about like code of conduct stuff. And so you go through a very small orientation. We help you figure out what kinds of venues and what sorts of speakers are most likely to work in your area. And then we send you on your way. Oh, no, we send you swag. We send you pins and buttons, and then we send you on your way. Yeah. I don't know what my time is like. Any questions about WordPress or the community at all? Also, anyone planning on going to the contributor day tomorrow? Yeah? I'll be there, like, most of the day, except for when my mom's speaking. So, if you have questions, you can come find me. I don't have all the answers, but I know all the people who do have the answers, so. All right, well, we look like we're question free. I don't have any more questions for you. However, if you do have questions and you're just shy, on the one hand, I would encourage you to not be shy, but if you are, come find me later. I'll be dressed like this all day. And then tomorrow I'll have a WordPress shirt on also, so I'll be easy to find. Thank you all for coming to my presentation today.